What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another World of Warcraft video for the War Within, and today I want to talk a little bit about the Mr. Pandaria remix event and the future of these events that we have had in World of Warcraft so far. We have basically had Plunderstorm, and now we have Mr. Pandaria remix, which is about to end by the way. I am recording this video in the final 30 minutes of the event itself, and I'm just gonna say, I have had an absolute blast with this event. It's kind of been this event that you can pick up at any time, never really feel that FOMO. I mean, at the beginning maybe you did, with like the frog farming and stuff like that, but Blizzard were very on point, and fixed what they needed to fix, and you just felt like it was a game mode that you could play for a couple of weeks, then not play again and come back after a few months and pick it right back up where you left the game. So throughout this video I kind of want to talk about what I think was good about the event itself, what could have been done differently, and I'm just going to say that this is all my opinion, and I would love to hear your opinions in the comments down below. Do you think it's been a good event, a bad event, and if we have another remix later down the line, which expansion would you want to see? Would it be Shadowlands, BFA, Warlords, Legion, TBC? You let me know. I would love to hear some suggestions in the comments down below, and if you have any improvements or any like differences you want to see in the remix event for the future, let me know that as well in the comments down below. Either way, this video will kind of be divided into the good things about the remix, the bad things, or the things that could have been better, and also the future of all of these events that we've had so far, including Plunderstorm and now the remix event. So let's start this off with the good things about the event that I really enjoyed myself. I'm gonna start this off by number 1, having the ability to level brand new characters while following one expansion's storyline. And sure, a lot of people probably just dungeon level their way to max level anyway, but if you are a brand new person to the game and you play retail WoW, there's so many different stories that you can experience. In this case, you have Mr. Pandaria from start to finish, and if you quest, you will have to quest through a significant amount of the quest lines to actually get to max level if you don't do any dungeons. So you actually get to quest through the story, and it's still being told to you the same way that it was back in the day, because you do the same quest lines. So I really enjoyed that, and I also enjoyed the fact that you can level up and get rewards while leveling. For the most part, when you're leveling in retail WoW or World of Warcraft in general, you get stuff, like you get loot, but you always replace that loot. When it comes to the Mr. Pandaria remix event, you're able to level up, and while leveling you can actually work on loot that will be worth it in the long term. So think about, for example, working on endgame gear. You can get bronze while you're leveling, which you can directly use to upgrade your gear at max level in the event itself, and in addition to that you get bronze to buy mounts, even some achievements as well. You can work on the achievements while leveling to get mounts, pets, toys, and all of those exclusive items that you get from the event itself. Like going to the events here, you get, when you do the quest line for example in certain zones, that gives you a certain item for doing certain stuff in certain zones, like for example the class ensembles, the shark corruption, illusion enchant, the musk paw call calf, and the Chen storm stout's hat and stuff like that, right? So you can work on items that will always have value to you while you're leveling, and you can get mounts. Like, those mounts are pretty nice to get, and I think a lot of people were drawn into the event by actually seeing these mounts, and having the ability to get those mounts were what drew a lot of people into the event on a baseline, and then working towards these mounts while you're leveling characters. It's fantastic, it really is. Now another thing that I think is really good is the buff that we have right here, the Time Runner's Mastery, and I think that's something they should keep doing in future events as well, if they do them, where throughout the event itself, you make it easier for people to get access to more rewards, to kind of make up for the fact that they have less time left now in the event itself. Now, in this case, they should maybe do something to, like, if you started early, and you spend a lot of your bronze and did a lot of content early, you felt like you were kind of being punished for it, because a lot of the quests, for example, they give you those big caches for a lot of bronze, like going over to quest, the greater bronze caches. These would have been worth 3 times as much if you waited with doing these quests until this buff was in play. So people that did this content right before that buff came out, they felt kind of punished. But at the same time, I think having something like this buff is absolutely great, and if people could get warned before the event starts when certain buffs gets put into the game, it lets you work around the getting punished element, because that way you always know what's coming. So let's say the event lasts for 3 months, which is the Mist of Pandaria lasted for 90 days, right? After 30 days, you give people a 50% buff to the currency, in this case that was bronze, right? So after 30 days, you give them plus 50%, after another 30%, then you get another 50%. Just make that super clear from the start so people know exactly what to expect and when to expect it as well. Now, there's a lot more things that are good as well, like for example the ease of access, everything is super easy, it's not really complicated in any way, shape or form. You have these gear pieces that you get from doing any type of content, and then you get the gem pieces as well from literally any type of content, and you upgrade the gear with the currency you once again get from any type of content. It is just super accessible if you're an advanced player, intermediate player, or even a brand new player. It is super easy to get into. For myself, when I stepped foot into the remix, it sounded so alien to me. Like, all of these gems, I was just like, what is this? Like, putting gems onto my bars to get abilities and stuff, it just sounded super weird. And having my bags full of gems as well looked really weird, but it took me like 1 day, and then I felt like I knew almost everything about the event itself. With that being said, what do I think could have been better about the event? Well, number one, I would love to see the event be more like the expansion was back in the day, and I might be completely wrong on this by the way, but if we get for example Legion Remix, I would love for that to be more the way Legion was back in the day, instead of the way the remix is now. So for example, going out and doing Legion world quests, focusing on doing reputations in Legion, doing dailies in Legion, doing the raids, and when I say that, I don't want to be one-shotting raids. To me, that's not really super fun. I don't want to see the same challenge we had back in the day either, but there could be a middle ground here. In MOP Remix, we are one-shotting bosses. Literally, like, you can go in and solo raids on the highest difficulty in the game. Meanwhile, there's something in the middle here. One-shot a boss, 10-minute boss fight. Instead of having one or the other, we can meet in the middle and have like 1-minute boss fights. I know that the technical middle here will be 5 minutes, but you get the point. Just instead of having the content be so easy that you're actually one-shotting bosses, maybe have it a little bit more the way it was back in the day. Not exactly the way it was back in the day, but like a little bit more. And speaking of that, I feel like they should really, in future events, if they do them, they should really upgrade the amount of rewards you get from doing single-player content and regular leveling content. In the MOP Remix event, you are heavily incentivized to spam dungeons, spam scenarios, and do raids. Basically, your daily stuff for these daily caches, right? For bronze caches, for these minor spools. So while you're leveling, you just do as many dungeons as you can. That is the best way to level, and you get the most bang for your buck at the same time. When you are max level, you do the exact same, you spam dungeons, and then you start doing raids, and then you raid log, because raiding was the best way, still is by the way for the next 22 minutes, it's the best way to get bronze at max level. There are some open world farms that are competitive, but for the most part you just do dungeons, and then you raid. I would love to see that, for example, questing gave you a little bit more than it currently does, so questing suddenly becomes a viable route to level up in a future remix event. So instead of being heavily incentivized to just spam dungeons, make questing more worth it. Give us more bang for our buck for questing as well. Give us more bronze, or more of whatever the currency is going to be in the future, and make the reputations more relevant as well, to the point where we can like make them more relevant, to give us more bronze back when we get to Exalted, for example. Now, next up, I would like to see the ability to buy more stuff with the currency that we have in the future, because at the moment we have bronze, and I'm just gonna say I currently have 2 million bronze left over that I can spend on anything. I already have all of the mounts, I already have all of the pets, and I already have all of the toys, plus I already have all of the transmog items on normal, heroic, mythic, looking for raid. I even have the open world and the scenarios items as well. I have bought literally everything that I can, but I've just been playing this event quite a lot. I've leveled up 65 characters in this MOP remix event, right? So for those of us who really like the event, I would love to see the option to buy more stuff with the bronze without creating FOMO. So for example, I would not want them to add more mounts, unless they just add, like, I don't know, I just don't want to see them do that, because when you add mounts here, it creates FOMO. People want to play in the remix event, or they feel like they have to, just to fulfill their collections and get all of the mounts that they don't already have. Instead, I would love to see the ability to, for example, either convert the bronze to gold, that's like super selfish, but like convert the bronze to gold, or give us cageable battle pets, allow us to buy battle pets in the event for bronze, and allow us to cage those battle pets. That way I can sell them on the auction house, or I can trade them to my friend, or give us a couple of BOE mounts, or BOE toys, something tradable, something where we can exchange, or keep the bronze that we already have, in the form of another valuable item that we can either sell or hold on to or something. Basically, you need to give people a option to keep grinding bronze past a certain point to keep the event relevant for everyone. That way you have an infinite content loop as well, because that way people are just going to keep farming bronze. If bronze directly converts to gold, for example, or through battle pets, cageable battle pets, BOE mounts, BOE toys, even materials, literally anything that we can then take with us to the other version of WoW when the event is over. Make the currency more farmable and repeatable. With all of this being said, this is what I think is going to happen next, and we have several paths we can take here. There's several roads that Blizzard can go down, and number one is basically introducing a brand new event that we haven't seen before, because we basically had Battle Royale with Plunderstorm, and now we had the remix event, which we hadn't really seen before either. Next up could be something completely different that we haven't seen. I don't know what that could be, but think about goblin racing cars, or something, like goblin racing cars, a racetrack in WoW where you use the mounts that you have. You're gonna use like ground mounts, you can use cars, bikes, stuff like that, racing track in WoW, I don't know, like there's so many paths Blizzard could take and make a bunch of different events. Or path number 2. Plunderstorm was such a success that Blizzard is currently working on their own Battle Royale, using Plunderstorm as a base, where they're working on adding more maps. It might be called Plunderstorm or something else, but it's basically that gameplay, with more maps than just one, and more gameplay than just one. And the Mr. Pandaria remix event was basically a trial run for a new way to level up in WoW, where they are going to cycle through, kind of like time walking. If you go to your calendar, we usually have time walking happening every now and then as part of the events that we have going on, right, every single Wednesday and stuff like that, so we sometimes have time walking. In this case, we might start getting time running. When you make a character in the Mr. Pandaria remix event, you are a time runner, not a time walker, but a time runner, and I could see these events being shortened from 90 days to 30 days, where every single month you have a new time running up and going, where they cycle through expansions. So for example, Mr. Pandaria in August, then we have a Legion in September, then we have Cataclysm, TBC, maybe they go through them in chronological order, so like Vanilla WoW, TBC, Wrath, Cataclysm, and Mr. Pandaria again, and just cycle through all of the expansions in chronological order for like 30 days each. And that way it gives you a way to level up brand new characters every single time in a different environment, if that makes sense. Now the last part that I can see happening is that this will be the new way to level up characters in WoW, where time running characters becomes the normal characters you level up. So when you start your gameplay, you go to Chromie, or you talk to like the Bronze Dragonflight, and you choose a storyline, and you level up in that storyline all the way to max level, and when you're max level, you get teleported back to the quote-unquote real version of the game, and while you're leveling up, they give you like, let's just say 100,000 bronze, that you can then spend on mounts or items relevant to that expansion, before you get teleported to Stormwind, Orgrimmar, and then go into the current expansion gameplay, if that makes sense. That would make it so that when you make a character, you can choose either vanilla WoW time running, TBC time running, Legion time running, Shadowlands time running, kind of anything you want, and Blizzard could be working right now on importing this, or like making the time running system work for every single expansion. But with all of this being said, I want to highlight, if this is an event, and they're going to go down the route of having another event like this, and nothing of what I've been talking about for the last 4 minutes makes any sense, or that's not what they're going through, I would love to see a Warlords of Draenor, Legion, or a Shadowlands remix event. And out of all of those three, the one I want the most, and the one that makes the most sense, to me at least, is Legion, because a lot of people feel like they missed out, and it's such a hype expansion. It would be such a good PR move as well to have a Legion be a remix event, because people love Legion. They did back in the day, they still do, and a lot of people that did not play feel like they missed out. I mean, I took a long break back then. I really want to go back and play it again, but I want to play Legion more like the way it was, and not just one-shot everything. Now, Legion also had some very good weapon transmogs with the artifact system, so allowing us to buy those artifact transmog tints with bronze, for example, would be an absolutely great move by Blizzard, and also putting in some of the legendaries we had back then into like transmog items that we could buy would also be great, and just in general, Legion did have a bunch of really good transmog items, so bring those back. I mean, I've been farming a couple of those Legion raids even recently for some of those shoulder items. They are really cool looking, especially the leather ones. Both the shoulder and the head from the last raid here is absolutely great. And I also know that some of you probably cringed when I threw Warlords of Draenor and Shadowlands into the mix there, but the truth is, Warlords of Draenor, even though it had a lack of content in general, the content that was there was great. The problem was just that a lot of it was cut, like a whole patch was cut from that expansion, so like that never released, and also the open world content was a little bit lackluster, but the raids to me, they were fantastic. I mean, Highmall, maybe not the best, but like the first raid of an expansion is never the best anyway. Blackrock Foundry was absolutely amazing, and Hellfire Citadel was also amazing. There are a bunch of great transmog items from Warlords, and we also have a bunch of great mounts from Warlords. Now, the reason why I threw Shadowlands in there is once again because of transmog and the Covenant. The Covenants gave us a lot of Covenant unique mounts that we, like, Covenant unique mounts, so unique mounts that you got in that expansion, and also Covenant specific transmog items. Now, if we got a Shadowlands remix event, they could remove that Covenant restriction and allow you to buy anything as a transmog or a mount. So you could buy the Bastion mounts, you could buy the Venethir mount, the Revendreth mount, you could buy literally anything without having to be in that Covenant. They could just strip out that Covenant restriction and put everything on a vendor that you could then buy, and Shadowlands had a bunch of both mounts and transmogs that are so unique, and I don't have them all yet, so I really want them. Either way, the Miss Pandaria remix event has been absolutely fantastic. I'm really sad to see it go, but thankfully we're only 2 days away from two days away from the War Within's release right now, so we can go and play some The War Within in 2 days, so I'm really looking forward to see what they do for the future, and what remix event comes next, or what event in general they put out next. So I just wanted to make a video on this, talk about everything, because I've been playing this event quite a bit, and I feel like I wanted to say goodbye to it. Now, once again, the War Within is coming out in 2 days. Well, actually tomorrow now. I'm scheduling this one for upload tomorrow, because it's getting super late over here, so I'm probably just gonna go to bed and make this one public tomorrow instead. So we are 1 day away, like tomorrow the War Within comes out. if you have the early access. If you don't have it, but you still want to get some information, check me out live on Twitch. I'll be streaming the entire expansion release and the early access as well. And if you want to have my help when it comes to gold making in the War Within, I have a gold making guide explicitly for that purpose, which you can check out through the link down below. Now, when you buy this guide, you also get access to a gold making Discord server where we have 4 videos in exclusive access, and we also have a bunch of early access videos. I just made another one today that you can go and check out now. So that's like talking about a certain crafting shuffle that we made 100k per hour with at the launch of Dragonflight, and we're hoping to make even more this time around. So we have a bunch of early access videos helping you to make as much gold as possible at the release and throughout the expansion as well. Now, yeah, the link to that will be down below if you buy the guide. Thank you so much. And once again, that's what I have for you today. I will really miss this event, and I hope another one is coming out sooner rather than later. If you enjoyed the video, take the time to slap a like on it, and we're also getting super close to 50,000 subs, which if we somehow get there by the end of this month, that would be insane. Not gonna happen, but would be insane. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you are enjoying the content, please consider doing so. Thank you for watching, I really do appreciate it. I will see you again in the next video very soon.